Promotions and profitability calculator a little further to help make sure you're setting the right discounts to maximize success with Google Ads for this holiday season. So the point of this calculator is to identify your break-even return on ad spend. This is a number that you can set in Google Ads to acquire customers or drive sales without losing any money. It takes in key inputs into this model as well as your acquisition costs. So to maximize volume, whether that's new customers, sales, revenue, or profit, you want to think about using this number as your baseline to setting your targets. And I think that's something that a lot of advertisers struggle with, is setting the right target. And that's the biggest lever to dialing up volume or dialing up efficiency is that ROAS target. So we want to make sure that this is set optimally, because you could be leaving a lot of sales on the table by setting this too high. So let's walk through. Here's just like a pretty basic retailer using industry averages of $100 AOV, tax, return rates, margin. They do offer free shipping, so they're eating this cost here, and we're not including any repeat rates here. Something that is typically unfortunately left out of this calculation, and we'll cover that in a second. So we get a break-even ROAS of 400%. Now, what happens when we decrease cost through a promotion? So let's launch a 30% discount and maintain this free shipping offer, right? So that ROAS now just went from 400% to 660%. And on the surface, that's going to mean a much lower bid in the search and shopping auction, and likely going to decrease the amount of volume or the amount of sales that we can drive with Google Ads. However, when you launch a sale like this, your conversion rate is going to increase. And the name of the game is trying to offset the losses in margin with the increase in conversion rate. And we have a tool called Performance Planner, which I'll walk through in a second, you can use to scenario plan and find the perfect balance between your discount and your expected conversion rate increase to maximize sales. So as you can see here, this is a pretty high ROAS target, and we're not going to be able to drive that much volume. But of course, when we're acquiring customers, if we're selling great products like many of you are, you're going to get some customers to return. So let's be a little on the conservative end and say 20% of people come back and make one more purchase. Well, that just drops 100 percentage points off of our ROAS target, and that helps a little bit, right? We're able to now increase volume with a lower break-even ROAS target. So what we want to do is use this calculator to play off different scenarios. So I'll zero these out again, at a 20% and a 10% discount. And you can see how these numbers change. Something to also keep in mind is, like, if you were to launch a bundle, so a 30% discount, but maybe you were bundling products and that increased your AOV from 100 to 140, right? That, of course, changes your break-even ROAS target. So we're going to ideally, if you want to take the time here to run this a few different ways and test a few different offers, and then we're going to use last year's data and Performance Planner to see how this affects volume and what this is going to do to the bottom line. Performance Planner, using the base settings before we played with that calculator, right? We had a 400% return on ad spend break even, and using our average conversion rate and that 400% ROAS target, you can see that we can drive about $350,000 in revenue with an $86,000 investment. This is looking at one Performance Max campaign. You can see on this curve, there's a lot of upside by lowering your ROAS target and increasing your investment and your subsequent revenue. But using this calculator is going to help you find that optimal point to maximize your success this holiday. So as you saw, when we added a discount and decreased our margin, to break even, we needed to move to a 660% ROAS target. So we just went from $345,000 in revenue down to $226, because we're decreasing the volume because we're increasing that ROAS target, and our spend got cut in half, right? Our ability to invest got cut in half because we had such a high ROAS target. Now, obviously when we launch a promotion, our conversion rate is going to increase. And we can use last year's conversion rate data mapped with what promotions we ran to try to figure out what we can expect this year. Of course, it's very tough to predict. This is a different season, but we can play with this a little bit. So let's say our conversion rate increased by 60%, which is not atypical. Let's run that. And so we're going to go from 1.06 to 1.7. Two things happen. Our projected revenue went up again, back to, closer to where it was before, because we're increasing that conversion rate pretty substantially. But our ROAS also doubled. Even though we were setting a 660% ROAS target, because of that conversion rate and the correlation with ROAS, this went back up. So what we need to do is bring it back down to 6.6. And you're also going to need to do that within Google Ads, right? If you just leave your if you leave your ROAS target where it is and your conversion rate increases, the same thing is going to happen where ROAS is going to double. So we need to bring it down. We can either manually change those ROAS targets, or we can use a seasonality adjustment, which is pretty similar to this. You're just going in and you're saying, hey, Google Ads, I know my conversion rate is going to change. I'm going to bump it up by 100%. And then the machine is going to operate as if that's the case. And it's going to allow it to bid way ahead of that rush of when conversion rate starts to actually increase. So you want to get ahead of it and tell the system something you already know that the machine doesn't. So when I come back down to 660, which is our break-even ROAS target with that discount applied, revenue goes way up, right? We were at 360 in both instances. And so we're now at 540, and our ability to spend also doubled. So this is great on multiple fronts. We're going to drive way more volume, about $200,000 more in volume. We're also going to acquire many more customers who hopefully will repeat buy and tell their friends about our business. And we're also breaking even. So we want to, of course, not everyone here is going to want to break even. So you want to find that optimal point. But I just wanted to walk through the trade-offs in discounting, how that affects your margins and how that affects your ability to pay to acquire customers, and then what you need to do in Google Ads to account for those things.